Welcome to the Incredible Machines podcast, where we sit down with incredible people doing incredible things. Today we sit down with Nelisiwe Zuma, a dynamic voice in the world of social media, personal growth and resilience. We talk about overcoming life-challenging adversity, the courage to embrace individuality, and the power of a transformative journey. So settle in as we dive deep into an episode filled with inspiration, honesty, and practical wisdom from an incredible woman who continues to reinvent herself. Let's dive in with the incredible Nelisiwe Zuma. We met in agency, my previous, I co-founded, and so I've known you for a while now. It's 2015.
Yeah.
So it's 10 years.
Yeah.
And you came in always been in the social media. It's quite nice that you've really specialized in social media, but then you're in influencing and last I checked Unilever and that. So you've jumped agency and it's still within Unilever and agency, but it's nice credentials. And I was looking at your CV and I think you've done so amazing. This it really has been incredible. I think a nice place to segue to the beginning of that lifeline exercise. Did you do that lifeline exercise with the thing? A nice way we jump into that lifeline exercise for the listeners. It's and watchers. It's a horizontal plane. Your birthday is the starting points. And then today is the end point, and you basically map out on the line. If it's positive, it goes above the line, depending on how positive, how high it goes, and if it's negative, it goes below the line. And so we'll get through hopefully some more positives, but I know there are some negatives, and I experienced those with you at some stage, to a way less extent, but watching from the outside, and you end up with like an ECG of your life. You can kind of see like boom, boom, like these, but like heartbeats, if you think of it like that. But the way sometimes we get there is and it might be the quotes in this instance. So I loved your quotes, and we don't usually start with the quote, but I just want to start with this. The aim is not to find myself. The aim is to keep on discovering myself. So it's beautiful. When did you start discovering yourself?
After my car accident.
Okay. And if you were to go back to way before the car accident, when you were 16, say, what would you tell yourself? How would you prep yourself for the life you've had?
I would remind myself of, so there was a conversation that we had at home a few days ago, and I was speaking to my twin sister about my old life, how I used to party, drink a lot, smoke a lot. And it got me to realize that they are currently doing the same thing. And I said to them, if I was 18 years today, I would have reminded myself that some lessons, you don't have to experience them yourself. You can learn them through other people's experiences. And that goes with you guys right now. You've seen how my life transformed after the car accident, which caused by drinking, smoking, and being reckless. And they are currently doing that. And I was like, some lessons, you need to learn them through the person next to you.
Yeah.
So I will tell myself that.
I love that.
So I can avoid a lot of things.
Yes.
So often we want to experience things because we want to learn, make mistakes, learn from them, but sometimes just learn through other people and try to avoid repeating the same history.
Yeah. No, I love that. Okay, I love that. If you can go back to the start of the journey though, that lifeline, just give us how your life started.
You mean from home? Okay. So my life started in a small village outside of Pietermaritzburg named Impendle. It's a small village, deep rural area. It's very peaceful, very natured. That's where I was groomed and equipped to the woman that I am today. It teaches you to be humble because it's very small and very secluded from the city lifestyle, so you don't get exposed to things at an early stage. So that's where my life started. Then I went to Durban University of Technology. I got my diploma in PR. Then I worked for the Department of Health as the public relations manager. And that's when you approached me for a position at Conversation Lab.
Yeah. And just on, so you fast forwarded that very quickly. So I don't know, so you mentioned your sister, I think, before we started. And so how many siblings do you have?
5, including myself. So
Okay,
4.
so 5 children. And your schooling was in the area or in Pietermaritzburg? Anything that stands out, like favorite subjects? Were you always a social butterfly that you are now? Or?
Yes, I've always been the social butterfly that I am. I've always been outgoing, loving to introduce new things in the school. At one point, I got suspended because I wanted to wear my uniform the way I wanted to. I've seen how, like, your girls' high school in Pietermaritzburg, because one of my cousins used to go to girls' high. So I was one of those girls. Back in rural areas, I would wear the same uniform, like white jersey, the blazer. None of that was happening in our school. And I introduced that. Till today, they're doing it because of me. So I've always been that person. Yeah.
Okay, so you always, is that different within your family? Were you different to the other? To your siblings?
I've always been different. They've always called me a black sheep of the family because I'm hyper active, outspoken. I tend to make mistakes a lot, more than everyone in the family. They often tell me that, because I'm a twin, so they often tell me that I should have been a boy twin, not a female twin, because I'm also very adventurous. I love farming. I love to try scary things. I'm the only one who loves hiking, camping. I love the outdoor. None of my family is interested in any of that. So I've always been different.
Why do you love the outdoors so much?
Honestly, it brings me close to God, close to myself. And I'm just able to be myself. Like, I'm free if I'm outdoor. Okay. Like, I'll randomly take 2-hour walks just to be by myself, by nature, by God.
And the curiosity and being out there and outspoken and making mistakes and that you've mentioned, is that you like to be? Is it like a sense of being different and I want to stand out and you're comfortable with standing out? Like you mentioned the blazer, you introduced it, now it's the thing. So if you're back there, we'd introduce your pink hair, like I remember you used to have.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like the world is full of millions of people. You need to be different. And it's either you do it or it's either you define yourself or the world will define you. So I've always been that person who thinks, you come from rural areas, but you love the lifestyle in the city. How are you going to go out there and still remain yourself, but be different so that people will notice that Nelly is here. She is here now. So it's either my hair, the way I dress, sometimes the way I speak my English. So, yeah, I need to be different in a way.
Okay, and that's to stand out, but to specifically, I love those words you said, so that you define yourself and the world doesn't define you.
Mm.
Okay, so and before we met you, you were a model already? You were modeling?
Yes, I was modeling at Irene's School of Modeling, and there's actually a funny story behind that because I was at the Durban University of Technology, and when I left in Pendley to Pietermaritzburg, which is the city life, my mom was so concerned about how will I, welcome the city lifestyle. I don't know anything about like the English speaking people. The boys, they are beautiful. The girls are dressing beautifully. And how will I fit in? And then my mom then decided, to keep you entertained and distracted from all of this, because there's so much happening. You're excited. You are now a teenager and you're going to a world where you know nothing about. Let me pay you to do modeling full time. So every day after class, I would take a bus, go to town, and do modeling full time at Irene. So every month, my mom will pay 700 just to give me like something to distract myself with. And trust me, it helped me a lot. It avoided a lot of things that could have happened, because I saw a lot of people that I went to class with that things didn't end well for them, because instead of doing things that will, avoid getting pregnant or being a drug addict or an alcohol addict.
So they're saying about idle hands,
Yes.
the devil's plaything. So they kept you, kept you busy
For 3 years.
For 3 years solid, and imagine it teaches you confidence. What, anything else?
To accept the fact that I am different, and also be okay with the fact that I come from a small town. I don't have to fit in and trying to be something that I'm not. So I've always been different as well at Aryan School of Modeling. I came with my long red dreadlocks, and at first she was like, "What is this?" But then they started putting makeup on me, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, you're different. You're not like any other models." Because most of the black ladies that we were doing modeling with, they had their weaves on, like full makeup beat. And I've always been like, I like it simple, and I would love to keep my hair as it is.
Okay, amazing. And so when we met in agency, like I think the look agency is kind of different, like a creative agency. So you fit right in, huh?
I did.
And then you were. That was when we started the agency. I think social media was peaking in interest in the world, or in South Africa at least. And you started as a social media manager. I think you're a community manager. But then I loved the role of influencer and influencer manager, because I think it just suited you, and it was so different. Like, it was really out there. I give the example when I send the show description out in the invitation to guests, and that Darling campaign that we worked on, the big thank you. And like, that's one of my favorite campaigns, because people just kept saying one of the reasons is why is because people kept saying thank you. After the campaign was finished, the prize was done, people would come and just nominate someone to say thank you. Yeah, but I remember I didn't ever. It was interesting, because I think when you're in a creative space, and tell me what your thoughts on this, because you've been in different spaces now. Your being different is almost the norm. Like, we had people with all kinds of hair, or whatever they were wearing. It was just like you had to close shoes and wear longs, like if you're a male. And so it's like, it is one of those. So did you feel like you fit right in? Is this your industry?
Honestly, at first I didn't. I remember when you approached me I started as an influencer marketing specialist, by the way, not as a community manager.
Okay.
And at first I was like, why is he approaching me for this job? Because firstly, I didn't have an experience, if you remember. I had no qualification for anything
you had a PR
close to.
If I can remember, huh?
Yeah, I had PR background.
Sorry to interrupt you, but also that you didn't have any experience, because you couldn't have an experience because there wasn't a role that existed.
I was the first person.
Yeah, you were like, we created the role.
And within a few months of doing influencer marketing, then you promoted me to being a social media. At the time it was called community manager. So
yeah, okay, because you came in for that. But you were saying, so as you've gone into other roles, have you found like you fit in, or do you always feel like you stand out? You always make an effort to do that, at least, but
I'll say I've always made an effort, because like you go to different agencies, you don't know how they will react to you being different. So I make an effort that is why, like, one of my favorite quotes is, to leave walk and talk the brand. So before I get hired in that agency, I love to make my own research about the brands that I will be working on, so that as soon as I start working, I already have my 2 cents. And it always works in my favor, to be honest. So that's how, that's how I go about my life, like making an extra effort. Don't think that people will accept you, just for who you are. Sometimes you have to improvise a little bit and make an effort. And then once they're comfortable, then I show them, this is Nelly, bubbly, all happy, crazy.
Yeah, well, I think it's Tim, as you know, Tim Africa, and Tim this is marketing is one of the lines that acronym stands for, and that is very much marketing. So you have to put it out there before you can be comfortable. We say fake it until you make it, but the best one alternative I've heard of that is one of our partners that says, I think it's be it. It's like, it's another extension of it. I can't remember exactly. It was like, don't just fake it, like
play the role or something.
Like immerse yourself. And I'm going to look for that quote and we'll put it in the show notes. But okay, so now you're in, and when we went through and agency, 2015, when was the accident?
2016.
So it was
August.
a year after you'd been there.
Year, yeah.
And so do you want to, is there anything you would like to touch on before we get there? Because that was quite low, I imagine, obviously. Is there anything we've missed before that? You're forming anything that got you there? So you were partying quite a lot. You were having a lot of fun. And then so background for anyone listening or watching, agency life can have a few parties. We used to have beer o'clock on a Friday. And so 4 o'clock, and this is taken from a previous agency that I worked at, more corporate. But they had this rule that you could leave the office and go to the social bar area at 4 o'clock. So you could stop working at 4 o'clock, and then you can leave at 5:15, as long as you socialize with people. If you don't want to do that, you can carry on working, but then you work till 5. So it was preferable for everyone to go and get go have a drink downstairs and have like social time with everyone, and it's team build. It's a great idea without less of a focus on the alcohol. But so we very much had that beer o'clock, we called it, and I was culpable of switching the internet off. And I remember telling people that the internet was going to be switched off, or it was going down, whatever, at 4 o'clock. And I remember the client service and account managers were not very happy with me, but they'd force them into like, come, let's go play some beer pong or foosball, whatever. So when I was there that Friday, when the accident happened, and I remember we left, but you guys stayed.
Yeah, we stayed with my friend, obviously, Nkonzo, you remember him, and Din. And I don't know if I'm comfortable to talk about this part, about at the time you didn't know that I was approached for another job offer. You guys didn't know. Din and Nkonzo knew about Nelly's next step in life. It was a job in California, actually. To do social media manager, because they saw the brands I was working on at Conversation Lab. And so we kept it a secret between the three of us, and we stayed behind and celebrated Nelly, before she says yes to the offer. And then later on, I think it was around 11, 12 at night. And then we were driving to the next location because the night was still very young for us to go to bed. So we drove to another location. And while we were on the road, I think at the time we were all super drunk. We didn't realize that we were not in a space to be in a car and, and drive in a manner that we were driving. And I remember you know, like the Vega turn, it's very long. Like the turn is the longest turn I'm a driver now. And every time I drive there, I'm like, this is super long. If you're drunk, you can easily crash. And we made that turn, and unfortunately we didn't get to the end of it because by the time Gonzo was already, I think he passed out while he was driving. And by the time I realized, didn't realize anything, he was at the back doing, I don't know what. I was next to Gonzo as the passenger. And when I looked at him, because I could see the car was doing weird movements, and he was passed out. And by the time I poked him to wake him up, it was too late. And then I woke up at Addington Hospital.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you don't remember it. Do you recall?
No.
You just saw the wall and that was it?
I saw the wall, and then I remember trying to get the belt out of my, like the seat belt. I was trying to unwrap it, and it couldn't come out. And then I passed out, I think, because after that I woke up at Addington Hospital.
Okay. And you were in for actually a few months, but you're not at Addington. You got transferred, I remember.
I got transferred at Etondale Hospital because it's near my hometown. It's in Pietermaritzburg. And I was hospitalized there for 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months, I remember. And then, and Gonzo didn't make it, I remember.
No, couldn't make it.
And I'd worked with him it wasn't a long time that we'd worked together, but I was working very closely with him. He was a head boy.
Yeah.
At like Michael House, I think.
Yes.
Was it Michael House? It was one of those schools. And absolutely tragic loss. And I think that is, again, we've said it on the show a few times, like the most dangerous drug, and it is a drug, so that there is alcohol. And it's statistically, there can be multiple reasons for that. It's easier to attain it because it's legal over a certain age and accessible and that sort of stuff. So it's, but it is the most dangerous drug there is. And so we've changed, I've very much changed my mind on that specific drug and the use over the years, and that incident was definitely the one that helped me change my mind on it. Just like exactly what you said, you don't have to learn the lessons yourself. Someone else has got the lessons, and if they can show you those lessons, like if you can learn from somebody else, you don't have to do that. And one of the things we've said on the show before, and I'm sure you heard this quote before, but it's the universe gives you what you need to evolve to the next step, next level. So unfortunately, it does feel like it's like, why did I don't think I need that, but I think you did. You didn't, apparently at the time, and that time in your life, you didn't need California. You needed something else. So that changed your life dramatically.
It did. Quite a lot. In good and bad ways. I mean, I started seeing life. I started respecting life at first. Like, I look at life right now and I respect the world we live in, the life itself, the people in it, because we often overlook the fact that, you know, like sometimes like it's weird, like I'll be driving and I'm seeing different people, different faces, different body sizes. I'm like, God, you are so creative. I would have not think like that before, honestly. And I started like speaking out more about things that Nelly wants, because I mean, you only have one life, and this really woke me, like it was a big alert for me to start, because I've always been someone who keep it to myself, but also, you know, like when time allows, then I'll speak out. But ever since the car accident, I speak out a lot. I don't keep quiet. I speak out about everything wrong that is happening in front of me. I say it. And it also affected me negatively. Like, I remember literally after the car accident, my memory just started declining. I suffered from memory loss. There's still today, there are things that I do not remember. Physically, it really destroyed me because every day, there's never a day where I do not have severe back pains because of my spinal fusion operation. But I'm so grateful for this life. So I try not to allow the situation define me or limit me. Some people realize later that, oh, is that the girl that was in a car accident? But why are you jumping like that? You've got 6 screws on your back. Why are you riding horses? Why are you doing farming all by yourself? I mean, God gave me a second chance to life. I might as well use it to my best advantage. So, yeah, I would say that it's sometimes I struggle to understand like who Nelly would have been if the accident didn't happen. And then I'm like, stop overthinking it. This is you now, and this is a better version of you. It is a better version of me. I love the Nelly that I am now. The Nelly that, no judgment, but the Nelly that doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't party. My family is still shocked at this new Nelly. It's been 9 years now, not drinking, not smoking, not partying, and I'm loving every day of it. So the accident kind of transformed my life to better and sweet moments every now and then. It's just the pains that makes it irritating.
Well, it's a beautiful sentiment. I was going to ask you who is Nelly, and you explained it so beautifully there. And what are your plans? What are your plans now? What does your future look like?
Yo, that's hard to tell. They said tomorrow is a mystery, so you never know what's going to happen. But honestly, I take each day as it comes. And I know 2025, I've been saying that my plan is God's plan. I know that God is elevating me this year. How? I don't know. That's Him figuring it out for me. I know that God will be blessing me, and I know that He will be qualifying me for things that I'm not qualified for. Because for the longest time, I've done things that I'm not qualified for. And I've just realized that this year, God is going to qualify me for farming. You know how obsessed I am with farming. And it just makes me think about doing influencer marketing. I wasn't qualified for that, but Conversation Lab groomed and equipped and nurtured me to be the best influencer marketing specialist in Durban. And after that, I got promoted into being a social media manager, not with no qualification. I did it. And then I got hired at Gorilla, then Unilever. All of these positions I'm not qualified for. I'm not qualified as a digital marketing specialist or a social media manager. I am qualified as a public relations officer. And I just realized that if God can do so much for me over the years, what would stop Him from qualifying me to being a farmer? So 2025, I'm all about farming.
I love your humbleness. You keep saying we qualified you as that, and God qualified you as that. Like the agency helped you, and God qualified you as that. And your only qualifications were on. It seems like you think they were only on paper, but I think there's a yin and yang of it. I would imagine that you like it. At some stage, I hope you do realize that you did it. Like it's obviously, I love the humbleness and to deflect and to be graceful, attributing to other people and like the agencies and to God. But and quickly backwards is like you made me remind me of something. Is like we make plans and God laughs. Is the quote. I love it, but. I think like you have to be open to it and you have to allow it to it, and it seems like you know it's your responsibility to do, but that it's going to be okay because someone's looking after you, and that really works for you because it's always just worked for you, but you've always been qualified for those things because you did them successfully. So you know what I mean? It's kind of like it was you were. the universe, whatever you want to say, gives you what you need, not what you want. Gives you what you need so that you can evolve to the next step. And that's, you just talked the whole evolution thing. That was great. Also, just the thing is, you reminded me, like, there's the yin and yang of life. Like, of life can be incredibly fragile. Like it's like that you almost died, but it's also not that easy sometimes to die. Like, it's very difficult. Like, that's a head-on collision with the pillar, with the bridge. I see the sights. Do you still feel sick when you drive past that, or how do you feel when you go past that site?
I have my days, honestly. Some days I do feel sick because it reminds me of the fact that, I lost a great friend because of this place. And sometimes I'm just appreciative of being alive and just drive through it as if nothing ever happened.
Okay. Yeah. No, well done for pushing through that. I think, so one of the saddest things is in Konzo, like, he actually, as I understand it, the hospital moved him and then sent him home. And only when he came back after experiencing immense pain in his abdomen and that, did they realize he actually had internal bleeding. And so he didn't die on Friday night.
No, they didn't move him home. They arrested him, like literally right after the accident. They should have taken him to the hospital because he might have had internal injuries. You don't know.
Well, he did, yeah.
And because he made a mistake, he was drunk, they probably got angry and they arrested him. And the pains became severe while he was jailed for a night. And it's when they moved him to Addington Hospital. And then the next day they operated him and he didn't make it.
Okay.
So it was too late. It was already damages.
Yeah, that's what I said. Okay. So it was too late and they could have taken him to hospital. And that would have been the change. Like, that could have been the thing. So that was an absolute tragedy. Since then, and how has life been?
Again, I have my days. And I find August very difficult for me. Because August was when, I don't know, I think sometimes they say the power of mind, but it's really, maybe it is the mind that keeps reminding itself that the accident happened in August. But my body as well. Like, you don't have to tell me that it's August. Today's the 15th of August. The accident happened on the 13th of August. And every August, I just have bittersweet moments. I think about Gonzo a lot. And yeah, he was a very smart guy. And I think about, like, he was very young. Could have done so much in life. And God had other plans for him, unfortunately. And then I think about me being alive and I'm like, Nelly, just live for him. That is why everything I do to make him happy, because he saw potential in me. He believed in me. He used to call me Umkaya because we both come from the same township. And yeah, like, every day when I feel sad, I think about what would Nkonzo say to me, because he was that person. He was very encouraging. I remember even in the office, the lady, Cynthia, he was helping Cynthia to get... He was helping Cynthia to get his matric. And and because of that, I've always been someone who's helping other people now. Like, in my hometown, if anything wrong goes down, they phone me. Because I saw how Nkonzo lived his life. Like, yeah, he was the guy. He was the guy. He was the best friend ever, honestly.
No, it was a gem. I remember him being a gem. He was Yeah, and like I said, the head boy, if that means anything, but like I mean that's means something to me. I sat next to him often at work, and he had a lot to give. So you think about him often still,
When I'm at my lowest.
and does that help you? Does he speak to you?
Not that I can hear his voice, but I get his, like, the sense of, like, directing me. Like, I ask myself, what would Gonzo do if he was in this situation? And then I meditate on it, think about it, because he was a very smart person, very intellectual, and I think so hard about what he would have done. And then I try to implement that, and it always works in my favor. Always.
Okay, so it's a gift now. Cheapest. Okay, so thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. You haven't shared that with me before. I just want to talk quickly about the ad you picked. So it's quite interesting to have. We've had agency people on, and they often pick ads that they've worked on. Why is this one special to you?
It's mainly because I started working on it from the teaser phase, from the beginning of the campaign. I was involved, and mainly because I did almost everything in terms of social media related. I remember the first part of the strategy for the teaser content. I did that. I did the amplification plans, the reports. I was a part of the TVC shoot in Cape Town, capturing the behind the scenes and posting it live on TikTok, on Instagram, just to, tease people and guess what we bringing into the market. Because for the longest time, Vaseline has not been providing the South African market with anything new. We've always had the same product for many years, and this was a big move for Vaseline. So it's very dear to me because I worked so hard. I had sleepless nights. Like, there were days where I would be in a hotel and I'm crying all by myself because, it took a toll on me. I worked so hard on this campaign. And right now I look at it, when I watch it on TV, I smile and I'm like, that I was there. There was me behind that, capturing all that behind the scenes. So
thank you for explaining that, because it's going to be the first product ad that we've had on the session, and it makes absolute sense why you picked it now, because we're noticing this with guests, that they pick something, they pick an ad or they pick a campaign, and then they talk about their life, and it's reflected somehow in the ad. And you introduce something new in every space that you come to. That's what you did. That's what you did at school. You talked about that. That's you come into, and you said you define yourself. And now this seems like it's so important to you because it was something new, a new definition, something out there. So we'll go to it quickly, and with a link to the actual TVC will be in the show notes, guys, and those listening can listen to it. Here we go.
Lerato, my skin is just not giving that even tone glow.
Your skin needs a CeraGlow. With pro-ceramides and niacinamide, clinically proven to moisturize and visibly fade dark spots for that even-toned, glowing skin. Vaseline CeraGlow.
Yes, like I said, that's the first product ad that we've had on here, and I was wondering about it when you said, but that's why I wanted to speak about it. And it sounds like you poured yourself into it, but it matches what you've told us about your life. It's something new, introducing something new, and that's what you seem to have done throughout. Is that your reason for being, in a way?
maybe
Part of it.
maybe I'm gonna discover it.
You're going to figure it out still. Okay. So when do you think you'll figure it out? Is it just going to be
It's a never
ongoing.
ending.
You never.
That is why, like, on Instagram, Nelisiwe Zuma, the never ending adventure. Like, that's always my username because the journey keeps going. It never ends. That's life.
In the short while since the accident, what's the most challenging decision you've made? We've been through a lot, like, and I didn't see you for a while, and there was COVID, and like that was another world.
Yeah, I'll say the most challenging decision I've had in the last 5 to 10 years. So the first one was going back to the social media industry. Reason being is because of my memory loss, my physical strain, like emotionally I was struggling. So I didn't know I didn't know I still have the creative skills to deliver the work because I would forget the simplest things at home. Like my twin sister will remind me. Like it got to a point where she started writing down things for me, and there was the only time I will agree with her that, oh, okay, it's accurate. But had it not been for that, I would still be fighting her because I didn't think that I honestly suffered from memory loss. So I was very scared going back to the social media industry. What if I don't do this the right way? What if I'm not creative enough? What if I'm not good enough? What if I don't deliver the work on time? And then the second one was going back to the city life. I remember at the time, like after the car accident, I went back home to recover for 3 years, 2.5 years. And during the time, I realized that a lot has changed about me. Like I spent so much time alone during the 2.5 years. And I realized that my life revolves around like the rural areas, the farms. And I was so scared to go back to the city life because who is Nelly there? Because I recognize the Nelly on the farms. I am at my utmost happiest when I'm on the farms. Like, give me grass, soil, animals, give me cows. I will tackle them and feed them. But then now I'm in the city. I'm expected to wear heels, look a certain way. Like, you must keep your clothes white at all times. On the farms, no one cares about that. I get my hands dirty. And I'm happy with that life. And going back to Durban was the hardest thing ever. Hardest thing. In fact, till today, I still struggle with coming back here full time. Hence why I'm always driving. No one knows where I'm staying, by the way. I'm in between different cities. I'm in Impendle, Durban. This morning, I was in Impendle, but here I'm in Durban.
Why do you keep coming back?
Because that's where the money is for now.
Okay.
Until I generate more money to start my own thing, I am definitely moving out of the city, going back to the rural areas.
What would your own thing be? Have you got any ideas on that?
Yes. So currently, I'm working towards planting 3,000 cabbages. I've started the process. I'm currently working on I'm working on the soil because we've been planting the same thing for the longest time, and now the soil doesn't produce the best produce ever. And I've been working on that for the past 3 weeks. It takes a while to get the soil to be at its best. So I'm looking at doing livestock farming and crop plantation. So I've started with crops, and my colleagues were supporting me a few months ago because I was selling pumpkins, cabbages in the office. So the whole of Unilever knew about Nelly bringing in the fresh produce every week. So I've started with that. And now I'm looking to doing livestock.
Okay, amazing. So the Unilever team, your friends there, they've been supportive on it.
Very supportive. Like some of them, I forced them to buy them. Charity begins at home. I remember my manager, Keith, he bought it because I forced him, like literally. He's like, I don't eat cabbage, Nelly. I'm like, I know, but you're my manager and you need to support me. And he was like, no. And I said, Keith, you can take it and give it to your cleaning lady, your whoever, but you just give it to someone you deeply care about. Don't give it to anyone you don't care about. Give it to someone who's going to cherish it, eat it, and come back with feedback. I need to know if these hands are really green fingers. I need to know if these fingers are green fingers. And then he gave it to his in-laws, and apparently they did magic there. Like they made a salad out of that cabbage. They made a stew out of that cabbage. They did quite a few things, and he gave me feedback.
And it was good?
It was good. I believe it was good.
Okay. So it's a further affirmed the farming that you'll be doing, and you do have the green fingers or green thumb. Do they call it green thumb?
Green fingers.
Okay, amazing. I mean, I think that it's so good to be surrounded by great people, but I think you also, you probably find that quite common in your life because you've just, like I said, happy Nelly. One of the saddest things I listened to in preparation for this was the documentary that was released, the 6-minute clip of it, and it said something about in that clip, it said, you used to write in a diary and you said, no more happy Nelly. And I remember hearing that, and I heard it again now in preparation. I was like, that's not you, that's not Nelly. But it sounds like you go back there, but you've got these things that get you back to where the normal state of Nelly, which is the happy Nelly.
I think at the time when I said that, I was still in a very dark space. I felt defeated most of the time because I wasn't used to Nelly, who's so dependent on other people. Like, I had a colostomy bag. There were times where I didn't know how to change it, and I had to ask my sister to help me while I'm changing it. So now I'm depending on this person to help me clean myself. And that was not a happy Nelly because I'm used to doing things myself. That is why my mom said, you were meant to be the boy twin because you're that strong. So now I've got 6 screws on my back. I can't, do certain things, and I have to ask my twin sister or my mom to help me get from one point to another point. So that was the moment of defeat and feeling self-pity, and I'm so happy that I was able to defeat that, and I'm no longer.
And now you're able to ask for help.
I do ask for help, even though I can do things for myself, but I've learned to start asking for help because that's actually one of the things that my mom is concerned about when it comes to me, that I don't ask for help. Like, I could be in severe pain. I could be dying. I mean, even during the accident, I was in my room after they discharged me at Eddington. I didn't want to phone my parents or my siblings and tell them about the accident because I thought, no, I'll wake up the next morning and go see the doctor. Meanwhile, I was slowly dying. And it just irritated my mom that I never asked for help because I think I can do things by myself. But now all of that have changed. I'm very petty now. I ask for help in low things.
Okay. No, that's brilliant. I think you remind me of this. So it comes from the Charlie McKinsey or whatever. I'll get the name, and we'll have this in the show notes for sure. I know it's Charlie. And it's the boy, the horse, and the fox. So we talked about this before, and I love this quote. It's like, what's the bravest thing you've ever said? Asked the boy. Help, said the horse. So it can be an extreme it can take extreme courage to ask for help because you don't want to be a burden. You don't want to, and you're clearly very independent and that sort of thing. So it sounds like that was maybe something that you had to learn, and you have learned, and also just to take care of yourself. I guess that was the thing, is people find that very difficult to do. We've had that as a theme here too, actually, where self-love is so important.
It is. I agree.
So you love yourself?
I do.
More now than ever?
More now than ever. I think it took like certain incidents to happen to me to finally realize that, like, I love myself now to an extent that if I'm in an unhappy situation, it could be with friendship, could be with work, could be with family members, I quickly remove myself from that. I choose me. I choose
could
myself.
be on a podcast and you haven't got up and walked out.
No,
So this has
I'm
been
happy.
all right. You see, I told you to be comfortable in this. This is going to be your next space of comfort here. And maybe the next plan, like you said, the next plan that you are going to be qualified before by somebody else that you think is qualifying you when it is you, and as well as the others. And I think we haven't even spoken about where that can go. But is there anything that I haven't asked you that I should have asked you, Nelly? Who are your incredible machines? Before you answer that, who are your incredible machines?
Honestly, I thought you were not going to ask me this question because you are part of those people. So I've got 3 incredible missions, actually. I mean, have you ever asked yourself why I asked you to be a part of my documentary? You never asked yourself. You thought you were just cool enough to be there. Well, you are. But guess what? You are one of the people that are my incredible missions. Second person, Theo Spencer. I think you know him. And then the third one is my mother. But I would love to explain, like, each person and how you've individually impacted my life. So I'm going to start off with you. You and Theo, basically, you both done something in my life that is quite similar. Like when you approach me for this job, when I say qualification, because I've realized that I keep referencing to not qualified, then I got qualified. I mean that in terms of like paper. Are you qualified? So when you approached me for this job and I had no qualification or experience or whatever background, for me, I remember the words you said. Like, we want you on our team, because you wanted to start a team that will work on influencer marketing. And I thought to myself, I don't know this guy. I've never worked in Durban before. I've never worked for a private company. I've always been in public sectors because I was at Department of Health at the time. And that got me to realize that you probably saw something in me that I didn't see it in myself at the time. You saw potential. You believed in me. And I knew that at that time, when I finally said yes to the offer, that's where the love and passion for influencer marketing and social media manager was born. That's where the love for all things social media was born. And I know, and I've known for the longest time, that had it not been for you approaching me for that offer, who knows, I would have not known about all things social media. Maybe I would have been in Department of Health again, being a public relations officer, stuck there, miserable, not doing anything or doing something. But I'm so grateful that I was exposed to something that I have never thought. Like growing up on the farms, you don't think about doing social media because they don't consider that as a career, first of all. They don't consider that as a career. So it was huge, and I still think about it. And that is why you were one of the people asked to be part of that documentary. And then moving on to the second person, Theo Spencer. So after the car accident, I started. So for the first few months after I was discharged from the hospital, I want to start it from there. I had that thing in my mind that God saved my life for a reason, obviously, and I felt like I owed him something. And I kept, every time I would pray, I would ask him in that prayer, God, what can I do for you to thank you for saving my life? Because I didn't think I was going to survive. Even when I was in ICU, I thought, I'm not going to make it through. Yes, I'm breathing, I'm alive, but I looked at the colostomy bag. I looked at my stomach, it was cut open. I could see things moving inside. I looked at my thigh, I looked at my feet, and I thought, this is not Nelly. I'd rather die than being in this situation. And when I survived that period of my time, then I started wanting God to direct me to where he wants me to be. Like, what can I do for you? Like, I kept asking, what can I do for you to thank you? What can I do for you to thank you? And then one night, a friend of mine, Daniel Minter, he told me about the family organization in the Eastern Cape in East London. It's called Global Mercy Mission. So they hosting a group of missionary workers in the Eastern Cape, just to, like, you can either preach the word or like read the book for the little kids and just reaching out to the people in need, feeding them. And I wanted to do that because I thought there was the way of me thanking God, let me help those that I need. That way you can see that I'm thankful for saving my life. Meanwhile, it doesn't work like that. And I learned that from a lady that was praying for me at the time. And she said, you don't need to do anything for God to thank him. And I was like, what? And she said, yes, you don't need to do anything. He saved you because you are just his favorite child. And he probably still has a purpose for you. And that really stuck with me. And during that week, my prayer life started changing. And then I started praying differently. Then my prayer was about, God, where to from here then? This is Nelly, who was in a car accident. And now I find myself in this little town that I do not know anything about other than, reading books for kids, feeding those that I need. But where to from here? Is this my life now? And I kid you not, 2 weeks after that, I got a call from Theo. And he said, hi, Nelly, this is Theo. I hope you remember me. We used to work together at Conversation Lab. And I was like, yeah, I do remember you. What do you want? And he said, I'm working at Oliver Marketing at U Studio at Unilever. It didn't make sense to me. It's like, you just mentioned 3 things. Like, you're working at Oliver Marketing at U Studio at Unilever. And it was like, yeah, just to keep it short, I work for U Studio. It's a agency under Unilever. And we're looking for someone like you. And I was like, oh, okay. That was very specific. You're looking for someone like me. And then it reminded me of you because you had said exactly those words. And I said to him, I'm so sorry. I'm in Eastern Cape right now. I'm doing missionary work. I'm doing the Lord's work and I'm loving it. Unfortunately, I can't take the offer. Then he said, well, I'll get back to you. And I'll call you back in 2 weeks to find out if you're still interested. Think about it. Then 2 weeks later, I had already had a few conversations with the prayer warriors there. And they all led me to making the decision to pick my things, come back to Durban. And then 4 years later, I was at U Studio working for big brands like Vaseline, Omo, Sunlight, Magnum, Ola, Dove Men Care. Global brands. And it just took 2 people to see potential in me when I did not. Because, when you come from a small town, I don't know, like you need to either have a leap of faith or have 1 or 2 people that will really, really see something in you that no one else sees. And you and Theo were the 2 people that were able to see potential in me. And I've always been like, I'm going to make them proud and I'm going to make myself proud. And then my mother, she's a lioness. She's undefeated. She's a prayer warrior. I don't think I would still be here had it not been for her prayers. She's a believer. And she believes that I can do just about anything as long as I'm happy. So those are my 3 incredible machines.
Amazing. Is there anything I haven't asked you that I should have asked you?
Where I'm at currently. You don't know.
Yeah, tell me.
You think I'm still at Oliver Marketing?
I was updated earlier with your WhatsApp status.
Why didn't you ask me?
No, I was waiting for you to tell me.
So, yeah, Nelly has... Should I say Nelly? Can I rather rephrase it and say, God has other plans. God has decided to have other plans for me. So, a few months ago, I started praying about how unhappy I am, about like where I'm at the time. I was at Oliver Marketing, your studio. And this is not to say I was unhappy with the people or whatever. It is just a point in my life where I felt I needed a big change. And before I make that change, I was very clear that I would love to have even just a month to myself and just reflect to who Nelly is, where to from here again. I feel like every now and then I want to go back and reflect. Give me a month to find out and discover where to from here. But that is so hard to do without resigning at work. So
it's difficult to do while we're trying to survive capitalism, yeah?
Yes, we live in Ramaphosa's economy and you can't just... I have a car now. I have a family that is fully dependent on me and I can't just resign and go find out and go discover myself on the farms. And I started praying and I asked my colleagues to help me pray. One of them is here. We prayed. I prayed. And a few months later, we lost the account. It was very sad because I've worked on Vaseline for the longest time. And losing it to another agency was really painful because like Vaseline is one of I call it my baby brand. It's that it has that special place in my heart. And we lost the brand and they had to go through a retrenchment phase because with no revenue, then it suffocates the company. So I was one of the people that got retrenched and I didn't take it badly. I knew that I needed something to happen for me to get the rest that I needed because I always like it always go back to what we talked about. Do you love yourself, Nelly? And I said, yes. Self-care is that important. I know that I'm not like any other person. I'm not like Cameron, Tandega, Bronwyn. Those are all my colleagues. I'm not like them physically. I'm not like them mentally, emotionally. Every day, and this is not to say I feel pity for myself, but I'm very aware of how far I can go. And I love to go back and nurture that person inside me that wants to rest, that person in me that wants to reflect. And it was so hard to just resign. And then when the retrenchment happened, I was so sad, but at the same time, I felt maybe this is what needed to happen for me to go back to the farms and be one with self, one with God, and one with nature. And I am at my happiest currently. I'm even glowing. I haven't seen my skin this beautiful in a long time. So I really encourage people to just have a leap of faith and, go back, reflect, pray, meditate, worship, read the word or read the book.
Yeah, you need to be open to it. What I'm hearing you say is that we said it already here, the universe gives you what you need to evolve to the next level. So it's positioned you now. You're stepping into it and you're going to the next thing. So it's just such an honor to know you, Nelly, and thank you for the time, energy, and attention. Is there anything you would like to close with?
Like with thanking people that have been impactful in my life. They know themselves. I'm not going to mention anyone because the list can go on and on and on. But I feel like we don't say thank you more often. We get used to thinking I did it all by myself. But where I come from, they always say it takes a community, to make the person who they are. And for me, I'm really grateful for people that have been in my life, that have shared my testimonies, my stories, my love for God, like to a point that I've got a group of friends that do not even believe in God, do not even believe in Christ, but they've been so gentle enough to sit down with me, have coffee, and talk about my experiences while I'm listening to theirs. So thank you to everyone who've been a part of my life. And I hope I'll do the same if I'm not doing it already. And to people that feel like life is closing on them and life is getting too much, I believe in 4 things, and I've already mentioned them, but I would love to mention them again. I believe that if you are going through the lowest time of your life, pray. And if prayer doesn't help, or you don't even believe in praying, worship. Because worship is just literally playing music, and there is power in music. It can change the way you feel and think instantly. If worship doesn't help, read the word or read the book, your favorite book. If that doesn't help, meditate. Think, ponder upon things that have happened to you, that are happening to you, things that are triggering you, and speak about them out loud. Like I drive to the farm and park my side on the side of the road, and I'll take a walk and meditate and just cry out loud, speak out loud, and think about things that are triggering Nelly, things that Nelly needs to do going forward. And I kid you not, after doing that, I come back a different person. Thank you.
Thank you for being incredible, Nelly.